Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode impacts you, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member or friend. Tell them why the episode was important to you. We're going to dive deep today into how to become more built from the trials and tribulations of what I call modern bullying. I've experienced it personally. I am experiencing it as a parent, and I figured it'd be worthwhile to have a conversation. I'm super excited about what we dive into, and I promise you'll leave this conversation with more armor, more ammunition to take on life circumstances, to become positive no matter how negative it gets. Let's do this. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. I remember the moment all too well. There I was as an elementary school kid, just trying to navigate life, going in for a math test that day that I was dreading because my worst subject was math. And I remember sitting at my desk, and right when I sat down, all of the kids around me were talking under their breath about me entering the classroom. At that time, I was slightly overweight, pretty insecure, and an easy target for people to poke fun and make an example out of me. And it was very simple when I sat down, the words that came out from under their breath. Here comes the big teddy bear. There he is, the big teddy bear. Everyone kind of muffling and laughing, talking amongst themselves as I'm dying on the inside, not only insecure about a test, but more importantly, pretty insecure about myself. And it took me years to overcome that classroom moment. It took me years to recalibrate, problem solve, and become the strongest version of myself. But now I want to pivot to today and take some of those moments that I experienced, be given a hard time, bullying, whatever word you want to use, and help people today in 2025. I'm now in a different situation. I'm a father of 3 children, and my wife and I all the time have conversations about how to navigate life as parents because we're seeing it more prevalent than ever today of kids facing bullying, of kids facing hazing, online, whatever you want to call it, comparison, poking fun, belittling. These things are happening around us at a rapid pace, and it's, in all honesty, terrifying. Just recently, a few weeks ago, my own daughter has been facing some similar issues at school with rumors, people talking behind her back. It's just absolutely crazy to me to know that my daughter is coming to me or coming to mom to try to navigate these situations, and it's wow, I have to go back and relive something that happened to me years ago and maybe take some of those learning components into helping my own child. I made a promise to myself that when I got married and have kids, that I promised myself that she'd never have to fight the battle alone, whether it's my daughters, my son. I wanted to make sure that all of the lessons learned in those moments growing up could be paid forward to help my own kids. Now that I know that they were going to be facing situations where bullying was going to be a topic of discussion, I wasn't naive to it, but I didn't know that it would magnify to the way that it has been. So, what's ultimately changed in 2025 compared to what I experienced? Number one is social media. There's this silent exclusion going on and fake accounts and people that are body shaming one another and doing it behind this digital wall. And I remember when I was growing up, at that point, it was just cool to have dial up internet or the you got mail moment and checking your AOL to send a instant messenger to somebody. That was like the extent of technology. And back then, even though that was considered state of the art, it's become much more hostile with the tools that people can use to go after one another. So I'm calling what I'm seeing in 2025 as modern bullying. And modern bullying has so many different tentacles to it that not a lot of people talk about. It's happening around us, it's happening around kids, it's happening around athletic teams. I see it in offices and work environments. It's literally happening all around us. So when you're thinking of modern bullying, it's not just social media. It's group chats through text messages. It's DMs through Instagram. It's public comments that you see on X and other online forums. It's this pressure to curate a perfect image. Whether you're trying to cut someone down or be someone that is impactful and encouraging and motivating, sometimes that perfect image is actually an illusion. And that's the big push that I'm trying to make sure comes across in where I'm at right now is, man, am I far from perfect? I'm humbled and honored that people come to me to ask for my help as a coach. But I sometimes feel like that kid in the math class that's being poked fun at as the big teddy bear. I still have those moments where I tap into that insecurity and self doubt, even years later, let alone trying to help my own children that are going through it right now. And being able to dig deeper into some of these trends of modern bullying. In my daughter's case, it happened to be group chats and these large text forums to where it's like kids, you get them in the masses in a digital atmosphere where they have that digital wall. They feel like they can put on a persona of whatever they want, be whoever they want, because firing off a text is far different than looking somebody in the eyes and telling them exactly what you're saying through digital forums. But it makes me concerned for the emotional state of today's youth, for the protective measures we try to put together as parents to help kids not only understand that these things are going to come up as they're growing up, but these are things that are going to come up too in their adult life, and preparing them to be equipped to handle it when push comes to shove, when things are tough. So I want to spend a little bit of time creating some framework. And that framework, I'm going to call it from being bullied to being built. And this built to be journey that I've been on, sometimes we have to remind ourselves the identity that we are rather than what is perceived or what is set. So that framework is broken down into 3 different sections. Those 3 sections are the mindset component, which is teaching kids, teaching ourselves that their identity is not defined by others. Secondly, is the boundaries component, helping set digital and emotional limits. Maybe we're pumping up our screen time passwords. Maybe we're disconnecting from that social media. Maybe we're removing that app from our phones because we know it can be a trigger for something that eats us away on the inside. And lastly, it's resilience. How do we build inner confidence that I'm going to call the anti-bully armor? Having that equipping us to be able to go out each and every day and have that built mentality, have that built persona, rather than what can be something that tears you down in the bullying arena. So how do we implement those 3 key frameworks? And whether it's from a parenting perspective or handling these situations on our own, how can we put it into tangible tips? So, first and foremost, with the barrier component or boundary, you have to be able to monitor what's going on in these digital situations without hovering, meaning we have to have the situational awareness of what is good and healthy for us, but we also have to have the situational awareness for what's good and healthy for our kids, and putting those limits, those safeguards around these situations to check in on them, to not necessarily check up to make sure that they're not doing anything wrong, but to truly ask authentically how they're doing emotionally. I think technology has blocked a lot of intimate conversations that we can have with the people that we love the most, because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of just scrolling or seeing what the next hot meme is going to be. It is devastating to me to see how consuming the phones can be. And I've done several episodes on bullying and on phones and on the digital era, but ultimately having that framework of understanding that we got to monitor these situations, not helicopter these situations, but provide awareness so that we can keep ourselves in check. Secondly, we have to ask better questions. Questions always start with ourselves. I'm always pointing the finger at myself first, asking myself on check-ins, how is my day going? Being able to understand where I had my wins, where I had my losses, where I can improve. Having those self check-ins allow me to have those same conversations with the people that I love the most, to check in on them, to ask questions that allow them to self-assess so that if these things are happening in the background and they had a tough day at school or they saw something on social media, that it's a safe place to have the conversation. Being able to model self-worth. The BTB Project and overcoming criticism of the past is something that I'm hoping is a model of self-worth. But it's the applicable action that I'm taking every day to show not only my kids and my wife and the people that I coach how I've bounced back and developed resiliency, but how I'm able to maintain that resiliency in the same arena that we're all battling in right now. Being able to take those situations and have it be something that was a negative connotation in my life and make it a positive. So being able to model self-worth. Are you able to model what you want your kids to be, what you want your players to be, what you want your coworkers to be? Be the example. No one wants to listen to talk. They want to see people do what they actually are supposed to do to inspire them. When push comes to shove, modern bullying or the digital era, you got to be able to create an offline identity. And you got to have anchors in those, whether it's sports, music, service, volunteer work, what you're doing with your church through your faith. Being able to have those outlets, it's show me where you're spending most of your time, and I'll show you the type of person that you're going to become. It's that simple. If you believe that it's getting too hard with what you're seeing on the phone, it's your choice to put the phone down. It's your choice to block that DM that came in that was really upsetting, that really hurt you. It's your choice to be able to take that app and no longer download it or put it off to the side. That's your choice. And last but not least, think of this concept of help and support. The word therapy or support groups have such a negative connotation in 2025, and I don't know why. Everything that I've ever learned in my life, I've learned from other people. I've learned from good examples. I've learned from mentors. I've learned from teachers. I've learned from people that were trying to help me. Now, this concept of asking for help, I've seen that used against people in today's day and age, that it's some kind of weakness or that they are less of a person because they want people to speak into their lives. And that's the most ridiculous thing ever. That is so far from the truth. Being able to surround yourself with that type of support system, to sharpen your axe, to become the strongest version of yourself, I highly recommend that you do it with other people. That's the only way you're going to be able to always tie back to your framework of the mindset, of the boundaries, of the resilience. You got to know the person within you that's going to be able to harness that framework. So I want to take a moment and I want to speak to the people that have either hurt me, hurt my own kids, hurt my family in this day of modern bullying. And I just want you to hear me out for a sec. I don't know what is going on in your life. I don't know how hard of a day it was. I don't know what loss, difficult circumstance, bad grade you got on a test, whatever it may be. I don't know. But what I do know is that even though you're hurting deep down on the inside, your value is more uplifted in how you believe in yourself. How, even if you're only holding on by a thread, that you still see optimism and hope. My selfish cry out to you is, before you speak another word, before you send that text, before you respond to that chat group, send the DM, you just take one breath and think about, what could life look like if you don't partake in that behavior? What if you pivot, and from saying something negative, you decide to reach out to someone to encourage them? What if right before you're on the brink of doing something you might regret in the future, that you actually have the self-awareness to catch yourself in the moment and pivot and turn that moment of what could be potentially damaging to someone's life, that you take the high road and reflect on yours? What would that do to change you? What would that slight pivot do in regards to your future? The future interactions you have, the future relationships you have, the type of influence that you are. At one moment of making a pivot from a negative to a positive could 1000% impact your life. On the flip side of that, if you continue this behavior, if you continue to tap into the negativity and belittling other people, what you don't realize is that this not only affects the person that you're hurting, but it could outright allow someone to lose all hope. What if that person thinks that they're not good enough to the point to where they completely shut down for the rest of their life? And it was that moment, it was right at your fingertips, to where you could have made an adjustment to change that outcome. Think about that. If there are any parents out there that are trying to help kids navigate 2025 and modern bullying, I want to leave you with this. If we are doing our jobs as parents to help kids go from a bullied mentality to a built mentality, there is no one on this planet that can't break what's already been built in our lives. If we are the seed planters of built, no one can break what has already been built. And trust me, you're being built. You're being built as a parent. You're being built as an individual. You're becoming the strongest version of yourself. And that is what is going to crush modern bullying. Absolutely crush it. Listen, if this BTB episode about modern bullying, if it impacted you, if it made you think of a situation where things have been tough and you've been able to overcome it, share those stories with me. Like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Share the message with a family member or friend. Tell them why the episode impacted you. I'm here to continue to try to have conversations about what really happens in life. And it's my responsibility and our responsibility as human beings to support one another, to become the strongest version of ourselves, and to be built together. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.